Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Casey Taylor. I use they, them pronouns, and Tasha gave me this great idea for the month of May. She used these session flows. So from now on, we are incorporating session flows. People want to know what they're doing and when they're doing it. And it made it very easy because the Action Chorus, who is here today, said, what are we doing and when are we doing it? And I was like, oh, let me just make one of these up. So the whole flow of things made it so this will probably be a thing that we'll be doing from now on. So many of you know we had our sound bath at 12:30, and as I've teased, Action Chorus is here. So we're going to invite them to come up and sing their first song for us.
Let's go ahead and do Nina first, and then we'll go.
I'm gonna stand over here to the side because hope that's okay.
Whatever you need.
Yeah, I think this is really good because I can see everybody. So we're gonna go ahead and do all the verses, okay?
We'll walk hand in hand.
Is this mic on?
Yes. Sounds good.
Okay, let me get this off the podium. And y'all need to know Action Chorus. Y'all need to know that as a minister, it's been like my dream to have a chorus. And y'all are this is my first experience of ministry, of serving as a senior minister for a live congregation that meets every week. And this is my first time having a chorus. An action chorus is like the definition of the kind of chorus that I want to have for my very first one. So your yes means so much to me. The fact that I know so many of you mean so much to me, that you were at my wedding, and also that the proceeds of we donate, we pay all of our musicians, and that our musician fee is going to support humanitarian aid in Gaza. Like, oh goodness, like Action Chorus. Doing the thing. I'm a fan, and I'm so grateful that you're here.
Yes.
As many of you are new into our space, I'd like to remind you, actually first I'd like to say, we've never actually said this, it's been a thing. What I love about serving in senior ministry in this role is that I didn't come in with an agenda. I didn't even know I was going to do this. So I really didn't come in with an agenda. I had personal dreams on my heart, like a chorus, but I didn't have a vision of what Sundays were going to look like, and things have just come along. Like the session flow was introduced to me, and we have these tables that the first Sunday Elle just set up some tables and put some art supplies on it and was like, this is going to be the place where people can know that at any given point that they want to go and paint a rock or draw a picture, this is a place that you can do that. And also we have a library next door, so for people who just need a break or I don't know, just wants to be alone, that you have this opportunity to be able to hear what's going on if you'd like, and just have a quiet-ish space of your own next door. So I love that things have evolved to allow for this space to be accessible. That was one of the reasons why it was so valuable for us to be in Project 3810, is that this space is accessible. So again, with accessibility, our vision and mission, we invite you to speak it along with us, but if these words do not resonate with you, feel free not to repeat them. And if you have thoughts, feelings around this, if it's nope, I'm not saying this, and you want to share with me after the fact around whatever it was that your feelings were around our vision and mission statement, I would absolutely love to receive your feedback. So, with that said, I would love to invite you to speak our vision and mission statement along with me. We are a loving, inclusive community, joyfully expressing spirit. We honor, celebrate, and support each individual's awakening to their spiritual magnificence. We empower each other to create happy, healthy, abundant lives. All right, so our goddess of ceremonies from yesterday, Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen, is just rolling with that energy. I am a fan, and I love that you are leading our prayer and meditation portion today. Thank you.
Don't worry, it's a book, but I'm not going to read it all. I saw a rainbow this morning. Did you see it? 7:20. I was out driving around. I know most people that comes to services at 1 o'clock are not up at 7:20, but I am up at 4. So, yes, 4. And I saw a rainbow. And then I saw the other end of it. It was first it was on this side, and then it was on this side. And I'm thinking to myself, oh wow, what a great thing today, to talk about today when we're talking about In Living Color.
Yes.
And I took a page out of Casey's book, so she's stretching me too, in that I didn't spend any time preparing what I was going to talk about. I looked at the theme, it didn't resonate. There was just nothing in it that I wanted to talk about, except the rainbow that happened to just show up.
That's so cool.
And then I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to share? It's about prayer and meditation. So I decided that I would share this piece that I found from Batura Papke, who is Ernest Holmes' practitioner after his wife died. And she did this whole hour-long thing, and obviously I'm not going to do that. But the title of it is I and My Prayer Are One. Which I thought was intriguing. See, I skipped the whole page already. In it, she says, we truly, when we pray aright, should pray for our at-one-ment and our realization and acceptance of God. There is not God and man. There is God as man. Therefore, each and every one of us are right now spirit. We are spirit with a body form. Now, body is necessary, and it is important, but it is important only as that which represents the truth, that there is nothing in this universe except God. As we dwell on these truths, our body resembles more and more and more this pure spirit that is within us. We experience more wholeness. We experience more of health, and we are never punished for our sins. Most of us feel that we actually are, whether we recognize it or not. We feel like we're punished for our sins. The average person feels that there is something keeping their good from them because of something they've done in the past. This is not true as far as committing a sin is concerned. And a God that punishes you because of your failure to do that which is right. Not true. We need to always remember with understanding that God is too pure eyes to behold inequity. What we need to pray for is recognition and acceptance of that which God has already given us. Before ye ask, it shall be given unto you. You do not have to ask God to give you something, for God has already given you something. You need the wisdom and the understanding to see it and accept it. Let us think of that which is in the heart of everyone here, your desire, whatever it might be. As of this day, how many of you prayed for Sunday? How many of you asked that there might be a Sunday, June 1st, 2025? Did you pray for that? No one. I'm sure, no one. Well, why? Because you knew that June the 1st would follow May the 31st. And you didn't have to ask for it. Now, when we can come to the same logical understanding and acceptance of our good, it will come as normally and naturally as June the 1st has come. We actually and honestly should spend our time in thanksgiving, in meditation, in sound baths, she didn't say that, in contemplation of the wonders and the beauty and the goodness of God, rather than in seeking things. Jesus tried to tell us. He said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. Jesus was not making the conversation. He wasn't talking just to be saying something. He was stating a fact, a truth. That if ye first seek the kingdom of heaven, which is an awareness in your mind of God, that everything that you have need of will follow. Most of us get the cart before the horse. We first say, well, if I could have money, and if I could have health, and if I could have friends, if I could have love, then I would be well on my way to accepting God. That's what we say, whether we believe it or not, or whether we're aware of it or not. Now we know that all these things are God. They are a part of God. This is why money is not evil, because it is God. It is an activity of God in the form of money, just as you are a form of God and I am a form of God. When we come to this point of recognition and acceptance of the truth, we shall never again lack anything that money can buy. Because we have put money on the level of consciousness where it belongs, a part of God, the activity of God. God knows what you have need of. Of course you need a home. Of course you need food. You need clothes. You need transportation. You need education. You need friends. You need love. You need happiness and joy. You need all these things. You need these because this is the very divine urge within you crying out to fulfill itself. You do not need these things to justify an outer thing, but to satisfy this divine urge within the heart of man. At the moment we come into the realization of this truth, we shall experience more at oneness with God than we ever have before. Think on these words. If I can find the end, we'll go to the prayer. Let's be still now, that we might become aware of this presence and this power that indwells every man. We know that there is only one universal mind, and your mind and my mind are individual points of consciousness. As we become aware of this and accept it, this universal intelligence flows through us then to guide, direct, and protect us at all times, in all things. We know that we live and move and have our being in this mind, that we can never be outside of this mind. As we come to ourselves, as it were, and become aware that we are in the mind of universal intelligence, that it is this mind within us, this power, this intelligence within us, with which we think and speak and have our awareness. And in this, we unify with it, letting it flow through us and become more of itself in our expression of this truth. As each one of us here now opens our mind to receive, to let that mind be in us that was in Jesus Christ, that we might have greater wisdom and understanding, that instead of seeking after the truth, we recognize we are the truth, that we are now sons of God. As we accept our heritage with grateful hearts, rejoicing always in this truth, that the Father and I are one, never to be separated, never to be apart. Father, we accept this so gratefully, completely, with thanksgiving in our hearts, and acceptance of our good, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen. Fun fact, this little Care Bear right here, I have this tattoo on my body. And I don't have a whole lot of tattoos, so there's a reason that Care Bear in this pose, because that was the image that I used that I brought to the tattoo artist. And I was like, this is what I want. So if you have thoughts about our vision and mission statement, or you want to see my tattoo, come talk to me afterwards.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
All right, so we're gonna get another performance from Action Chorus. So excited about their presence and their experience here. And Ramona, if you want to share a little bit about where the funds are going, please know that you are welcome to. Up to you. You do, y'all do y'all.
Sure, since I was prompted, I suppose I can share. Should I use the microphone?
Yes, please.
Yes. And can you guys come in just a smidgen? Yeah.
I'll
We're good.
speak from here. Thanks, singers. You're so patient. So, like Casey had mentioned, the funds that were paid to the chorus today are going to support our young friend Kamal. He's living in Gaza. He was actually just displaced from the Khan Yunis region of Gaza. What the occupation is doing right now is setting up food distribution centers in certain regions of the Gaza Strip and then bombarding everywhere else to try and force people into smaller and smaller, basically concentration camps. And Kamal is 17 years old. He's supporting his mom, dad, his little sister and brother, as well as his aunt and her children. And there's like 50 to 60 of us in Oklahoma City who check in on him and just send him funds regularly. So if you are interested in finding out how to support Kamal, we can get you in touch. He's a good kid. But this song is called "Be Like the Bird." I think it kind of speaks for itself. Just enjoy it.
Thank you.
Free Palestine.
That's right. Yeah, let me come back here.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. Thanks for asking. I'll go first. Be like the bird that, pausing in her flight, a while on boughs to slide, feels them give way beneath her, and sings, and sings, and sings, knowing she hath wings. Be like the bird that, pausing in her flight, a while on boughs to slide, feels them give way and sings, the bird that, pausing in her flight, a feels them give way beneath her, and sings, knowing she hath wings.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, so as has been briefly mentioned, we haven't really fully got into it. The theme for the month is in living color. And honestly, and I mean this. I love that Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen said that she didn't identify with the material today. One, because she knows I wrote it, and she wasn't afraid to be and so her authenticity means so much to me, but there's not Casey's feelings are going to be hurt. I know it's not even a thought, and my feelings were not hurt, especially because I know what that's like. It's never a something having to do with personal with the person who wrote it. It's also never having anything to do with the material itself. It's simply, is there something here that I find inspiration for? And where Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen found inspiration this morning was the rainbow and in living color. Can you find anything more inspiration than nature, than spirit itself speaking to you by being out at 7:20 in the morning? And the other, the element of letting spirit take you where you want to go, and really lean into recognizing that what it means to show up in living color, it not only is coming from a place of authenticity, but showing up in all of the ways that we express ourselves individually. Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen's message included some words from Jesus. Tasha spoke to identifying as a Christian, and personally, I do not. And it's so important to me that as senior minister of this organization, that I understand that inclusivity means that we are all included. So it's not because you identify as a Christian, you're not welcome here. Because you use Jesus, I don't want you talking about Jesus here on a Sunday. And, it's a matter of knowing that it is a space where anybody can quote anyone, and however Spirit leads you. Spirit leads you to say, I didn't connect with anything that was written in the material for this week. Spirit leads you to another direction and to highlight spiritual leaders of the past, of it, the whole concept of Christianity in Oklahoma City comes with so much weight. And I really lean into the importance of having a space where everybody feels welcome, regardless of what they believe, regardless of what they think, regardless of their spiritual traditions and identifications, that this is a space where everyone is welcome. So thank you all so far for really serving as a demonstration of what that looks like. I'm grateful for it all. So, I got this note on my desk, maybe it was 2-3 weeks ago, from Abby, one of our kids here, and she specifically said, maybe you could put this in a slide. So I was like, yeah, next time I'm speaking, I'm going to do that. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Stewart. I got my bows everywhere. Yesterday, we prayed hard. I got my bows everywhere. So I put it in a slide for us to read clearly here, because that wasn't her intention, but I want you to see this note that I just walked into my office and was sitting on my desk. So Abby, 10 years old, said, love is more than a hug. Love is everything. If we could not love, how would we mourn? How would we live? How could we ever call ourselves family? So I love the idea of, yes, Abby said yes. Put this in the slide. Yes, I'm putting it in the slide. And also, I mean, how profound is this from a 10-year-old to come into an office and have this sitting on my desk? I didn't get a warning, just walked in there and found it. And this concept of love is coming loud and clear to me. Yesterday at the installation ceremony, I spoke to how the theme of Transformers, Care Bears in Disguise, had shown up in my life over the course of those last 30 days. And I spoke to the fact that transformation is not comfortable. It is not easy. And when the concept of transformation came to my mind, I was really looking at it from a Care Bear perspective, right? I was looking at it as I am shining my light to transform the world around me. No part of me was thinking, I am being transformed so that I can learn how to shine my light more deeply and more brightly. I had no idea that that's what I was in for when I received the clarity of that theme. So the month of May, my month of May, was filled with celebration. My birthday is in May, my wife's birthday is in May, my cousin graduated and she's been in college for literally 30 years. So I had to fly to Chicago for that celebration. And my best friend from 13 years old graduated with her master's degree, and that was a whole journey. And Governor Stitt was the commencement speaker at her graduation. So I had his and I love the faces, but his speech was actually really good. I was like, all right, I get to see how you won this governor seat. He was a very good speaker, very inclusive in a way that I did not anticipate. My month, and then we had our installation ceremony yesterday. So the month of May was filled with celebration. And I had it in my mind. No part of me was like, well, let me go through a deep personal transformation while I'm in the middle of celebrating and traveling and doing all of these things. I was not ready. And so this concept of love being everything, how could we not love? How would we mourn? How would we live and ever call ourselves family? My transformation had everything to do with family interactions because all of this celebration involved family in some way. And I got a real opportunity to recognize how much judgment and resentment and expectations that I've been walking around with. So one of them, I'll just share with you, in Chicago, went to Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and I've lived in Oklahoma now for 4 years. And maybe 3 months in to living here, I started going by KC. So the vast majority of people who live here know me as KC. most people don't call me the name that the K stands for in KC. I would say, let's say, I don't know, I would say a good year into living in Oklahoma, I started using they, them pronouns. I gotta give CSU Youth Services like a big shout out for that, specifically because like having a workplace where pronouns were on the walls and that people had an opportunity to change them at any given time. You know, there's one thing of like, oh, we have this level of acceptance around the youth get to change their pronouns, but staff is a different situation. That wasn't the case. It was that, you know, whatever your pronouns are today is what they are today. And being in an environment where I got an opportunity to see youth change their pronouns regularly and see the environment around them adjust to the fact that you were using they, them pronouns last week and you're using she, her pronouns this week, and now you're thinking about using he, him pronouns. And having that level of adjustment of going back and forth between the fact that this person has changed, is discovering who they are and trying these things out, seeing how they feel, really gave me an opportunity to, and I'd already been thinking about they, them pronouns from before they, them pronouns was like chosen as the non-binary term we're all gonna use. Like back in the days that we were using Zer and exploring what that might look like. At first I was like, let me wait and see how these shake out. Because I don't want to drive forward saying, Zer, my pronouns, and now no one else is using them but me. And so I've been on like my own personal journey of like thinking about these pronouns and to be in an environment where I knew I could try them out and change my mind without any judgment, gave me that freedom to say, okay, this is going to be, so I started it at work first for a long time. I didn't go out in the world. It wasn't on the slide behind me of like, these are my pronouns. I just tried them on for a good year, or longer actually. I would say it was about a year. And when I got married, it was a perfect opportunity. Changed my last name and was like, Casey Taylor, they, them pronouns, new name, new pronouns, who dis? Like, out in the world. And so that was 3 years ago that I've been like really standing in this. And about a year ago, I got this moment of clarity. I got an invitation from Spirit, and it was more like a demand of like, be a vegan now. And I was nothing close to being a vegan at the time that like moment of clarity had come about. I'd been a vegetarian for a year at some point in my life, didn't like it, made a decision to be a vegan for 30 days, and it was a 30-day goal, only made it 20, and there's not a lot of goals that I've set that I don't make the full 30 days for, so I was like, okay, all right, like, we're just gonna see what happens, and like, I was directed into, like, I got all of this clarity in a moment of steps to take to make this transition very easy for me. First of all, that moment of clarity came when I was in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is a very easy place to decide that you're a vegan right now. And so I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens when I get back to Oklahoma. But I called my wife and I was like, hey, I just got like a call to be vegan. And she was like, fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so she had their fridge, like, she's like, I'm going shopping. She had a whole like house full of vegan groceries ready for me by the time I got back. And I also made like 2 lists. I made one list of things that I can make without thinking, like, you know, something that doesn't require effort, things that I can like just look at a list when I'm at a grocery store and be like, what might I like to eat this week? And then the second list of delicious vegan food in Oklahoma that I can just get. So when I'm hungry, I don't have to think, I don't need to Google, I can open up my little list. And those 2 lists made it so that the moment that I decided I was going to be vegan, a year later, here I am. So I'm saying all this to say that in the last 3 years, brand new to my family, I'm a vegan, I'm Casey Taylor, and I use they, them pronouns. And when I went to Chicago to be submerged in an environment around the people who know me best and also not at all at the same time was incredibly difficult for me. And then the difficult kinds of things just kept coming. And it's a whole lot easier to be mad at my family for not taking the time in 3 years to make the adjustments. But it's a lot harder for me to choose love to remember that, like, they're my family, that they are doing their best. Yes, their best may not be good enough for me, but lots of people's bests are not good enough for me.
Right?
That's just what life is. Everybody's best is not going to be mine. And so the way that I operate from a place of inclusivity is not the same way as other people. And I've had a real opportunity to practice unconditional love. That's just the one I'm going to share. But lots of opportunities to practice unconditional love more deeply than ever before for the month of May. And I'm grateful to be in living color for June, because that's the thing. I'm more of a vibe I'm looking for. Transformation I'm done with for a little bit. So I'm going to do my best not to quote myself. It wasn't just me. Reverend Elijah Christopher Hayden, who, if you saw the video yesterday, Elijah Christopher Hayden looks like a warlock. Basically, he's giving warlock vibes. So, and that was really fun. Like I was in North Carolina when we put this material together, and we just like prayed over the phone. And so it was really nice that I have all of these memories of being somewhere else as I got an opportunity to revisit this content this week. And so the color purple and living color, like Alice Walker, of course, she wrote in the color purple, God is inside you and inside everybody else. You come into the world with God, but only them that search for it inside find it. So I mentioned this concept of religious expression, identifying with Jesus, identifying as a Christian, identifying as any kind of particular thing. I love this idea that spirit is within all of us, and that some of us gravitate towards spiritual traditions. Maybe we're born into them, maybe they're common within our culture, maybe there is something about that religious tradition that makes people say, this is the thing for me. And what I think of as religious expression is diversity in action. Having that personal choice to say, this is the spiritual community that I want to be a part of. That I get to recognize that all of us have our own understanding of spirit within us. I have this secret dream for the Centers for the Spiritual Living. It's actually not that secret. They just don't care about me saying it. It's not that they don't care. Let me just say this. The Centers for Spiritual Living global organization is in a state of, and I don't even want to call it transformation. It's in a state of transformation. Yes. In the same way that many of our institutions are currently in a state of transformation. And what I love about the way that the Centers for Spiritual Living is proceeding through transformation is not by taking a whole bunch of action. It's taking a moment to bring people together and identify what steps do we want to take first, including people in the conversation. And so we're in this place of exploration as opposed to a space of taking action. So I have this idea of our tagline for the Centers for Spiritual Living being find your center. That's what I would like. Because that's, it's about recognizing that spirit is within you. So it's a double entendre. You get to find your own Center for Spiritual Living that you vibe with. Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen runs a virtual ministry called Inner Journey. Like Oklahoma, there's lots of options. There you can access communities virtually, really anywhere at this point. And so it's this invitation that you can find your center wherever you go. And to me, when people ask me, what is the Centers for Spiritual Living? What do you teach? Who are you? What are you about? To me, that's what it is this is a place for you to discover your own understanding of what God means for you. And it's a space where you are safe to be who you are and express yourself authentically, to be that divine expression of God that you were born here to be. I learned this from Elijah Christopher Hayden. I had no idea that that Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of the Centers for Spiritual Living back in the 1920s, this book, The Science of Mind, is what we use as the base of our teaching here. And I did not know that he wrote, there is also an intermediate sex, that is one in which the two attributes seem to be almost equally balanced. The greatest men and women of the ages have belonged to this type, for it is a more complete balance between the two which are really one. Ernest Holmes, 1926, Science of Mind section titled Male and Female. No idea that was there. So personally, like, as I've been talking a lot about religious traditions, that for me to serve as a minister in a spiritual organization that was founded by somebody who wrote this in 1926, at a time when this kind of way of thinking was not common. A lot of the reason the science of mind is what it is because that way of thinking was not common in 1926. It's how the organization was formed. People in California where Ernest Holmes lived were like, what are you talking about? Will you write that down in a book? He would rent spaces and say, I'm gonna talk about some things that I've learned. Who wants to come? And he was filling up rooms and people were like, let's write it down. Let's make books. Let's make a church. And he was like, I guess so. I don't really want to. But if we have to, his whole concept was, if we're gonna be a spiritual center, it's gotta be open at the top. We can't have this like closed idea of like everything that I wrote in 1926 is law. This is not about me. Religious science is you, it's not me. Let's really make sure that this organization is designed in a way that it continues to evolve. And like I said, we're in our experience of evolution right now, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. So, in my dive into, not my dive, but I would say, as I was rereading the material, I forgot last summer that I came across this person. Are any of you familiar who William Dorsey Swann is? Not a single person? Ooh, 1.5. Like, props, because I found it and then forgot about it, and I'm like, this is information that I need to know. So this is kind of like your LGBT history, if you will, because I think it's super important. And I'm just going to read what I wrote in the source material, just because it's easier for me to do that. I had it nice and summarized for myself that I shared with other ministers. So William Dorsey Swann was the original drag queen and a formerly enslaved man named William Dorsey Swann. The term queen was inspired by the Queens of Freedom, crowned on Emancipation Day celebrations, first held in 1866. Emancipation Day was a split pre-Juneteenth. Juneteenth was celebrated in Galveston, and Celebration Day was celebrated on the East Coast. That's my Emancipation Day was celebrated on the East Coast. It didn't become a thing the way that Juneteenth became a thing. So the term queen came out of that, the Queens of Freedom, that was crowned on Emancipation Day. And the word drag came from grand rag. William Swann did not allow a history of enslavement and police raids on the Grand Rags in Washington, D.C. to hamper the celebrations. The Evening Star reported police targeted men in female attire of many colors. Swann and his friends continued to party, and the police kept shutting them down. As we can see from pride celebrations around the world, oppression has never been able to stop two-spirit LGBTQIA people from being themselves. So shout out to who knew that the term drag came from somebody who had experienced slavery and then experience of living in slavery, experiencing emancipation, and coming out as a transgender individual, and celebrating beyond the cops are shutting you down. We gonna keep doing it. William got arrested over and over and over again, and we don't have a lot of information about him, specifically because this is how things worked back in the day, back in 1866. Nobody was like, let's write a book about William Dorsey Swann. And so what's happened is now we live in an era where people are swimming through publications from 1866 and discovering these kinds of trends and recognizing the history. So I imagine most of us, if not all of us, have heard of drag, but most of us did not know that grand drag is where the term came from. So your LGBT history fun fact of the day. All right, so I don't know if it was me or Elijah who pulled this quote, but my bonus kid is a huge Lady Gaga fan, so anytime I get an opportunity to quote Lady Gaga, I'm gonna do it. And in Living Color, this feels like it makes perfect sense. Do not allow people to dim your shine because they are blinded. Tell them to put on some sunglasses because we were born this way. I'm sitting with that. My whole, if you ever get an email from me, it says shine on, and that served as a reminder for me. And it took me 20 years to come up with what my email goodbye is going to be. I didn't want it, all the ministers that I knew were like, love and light. And I was like, love and light's not me. I'm not anti-love and light by any means, but I'm not just going to take that. And I really had to sit with it. And Shine On just came to me out of nowhere. And just like being a vegan, y'all see there's a trend. But I sat with it. I was looking for it. I was trying to figure it out. And eventually it showed up. But this concept of, I really lived in a place, I really operated from living with a dim light for a good amount of time. And it really came out of my own survival. That I really felt like pre-2020, I would say pre-2016 actually, before the Black Lives Matter movement came about, the whole concept of being who you are authentically and unapologetically was not really it was not a cultural idea in any kind of way. When Black Lives Matter came around, we're like, hey, guess what? Black Lives Matter. And people are like, yeah, Black lives do matter. And some people are like, well, what about my life? And everybody's like, yeah, your life matters too. And they took it to mean something else, and that's okay, because we love them for who they are. But what happened is I got an opportunity, for a very long time, I lived in a culture where it really felt like my Black life did not matter. One of my best examples is R. Kelly. As I mentioned, I grew up in Chicago, and when I was a child, when I was 11, 12, 13, R. Kelly, it was a well-known fact that R. Kelly would hang out in malls and entice young girls home. This was just a thing. And little girls would try. They would go to the mall where R. Kelly hung out, and it was let me try and get R. Kelly. And some of them succeeded. The sex tape that he's super famous for is a cousin of mine. So I grew up in a culture, in an environment where the fact that R. Kelly was an open predator was not a problem. This was just 1993. And then all of a sudden, one day, our culture was like, nah, R. Kelly, you don't get to do, I know you've been doing this openly for a long time, but no, you don't get to do this anymore. P. Diddy, also a great example. I never worked, I have a really good friend of mine that, I shouldn't go as far as really good friend. A person I knew well, that I would have breakfast with sometimes, and worked in a high-level position with a company where Diddy was in charge. And the stories that she told me at breakfast, my goodness. But that was Hollywood in 2015. That was just what it was. I was there before the Me Too movement. So the country that we live in has progressed. I know it may not seem like it right now, but the country that we live in has progressed so much. I've gotten an opportunity to shine my light. I felt like I've been given permission by this country to shine my light stronger than ever before. And before this 2016 situation, I've had jobs, interviews where they're like, you're too confident, you're too comfortable. And I really had to break into Hollywood. I had to play small. I came in as my authentic self. I thought, I know I'm awesome. So I thought everybody else would be able to see this very clearly. And they were and they would tell me to my face, nah, be less awesome. This makes us very uncomfortable. Your full awesomeness makes us very uncomfortable. Please shine your light. If you want this job, if you want to work in Hollywood, you're going to have to figure out how to turn this dimmer switch on to get in here. And that's exactly what I did. I found my dimmer switch. I moved it down. I got in where I wanted to go. And then I ended up working for Viola Davis, whose Viola is very much shine your whole light. This is the place for that. So the world had changed. Hollywood had changed. People were being held accountable for their actions for the first time in forever. And I was working in a space where where I literally had the words dream big, dream fierce embedded into the wall behind me, reminding me every time I came into the office. And like Katie Couric did a special on us. It is on like streaming, I think on Hulu, like FYI, fun fact. And I'm in it a little bit. So like, yeah, like I was in this environment where it was like, okay, I had to dim my light for the purpose of achieving my goals and paying some rent. And now the world has shifted in a way that I feel empowered to shine my light brighter than ever before, and y'all support it. That Care Bears, Transformers, Care Bears in disguise, California would have never let, so the fact that Reverend Dr. Sue Ellen was wearing Care Bear earrings, I caught those Wish Bear earrings you had in your ears.
I did too.
I felt so fully, wholly supported by the community. My sponsor, my Al-Anon sponsor, showed up in a Care Bear t-shirt, like just fully supported yesterday. Such a fan. Shining my light. I'm such a fan. All right, so Abby wrote this yesterday while she was here on this dry erase board here. I put it on a nice little slide that says, "Your life is but a flower, and you are the gardener. It needs to let it grow." You are the gardener. It needs to let it grow. Your life is a flower, and you are the gardener. It needs to let it flow. So what I said about the concepts of religious traditions, the way that I look at that is like the tools that we use. Like one gardener doesn't say like, this is the way to grow the perfect garden. There's like ideas, there's like do this, do that. And then another one's like, this is what works for me in my soil and my life and my lifestyle and all those things. Like this is incredibly brilliant. She wrote this like at age 10. She was like, FYI, y'all know, wrote this on the dry erase board. Actually, I think it's still over there. So this reminder that who we are, just like Alice Walker talked about in The Color Purple, that we are flowers. Like we are here to grow. We operate in the seasons, despite the fact that capitalism says otherwise. We live within the seasons. And our consciousness, we have a choice to identify what tools we use to cultivate our gardens. Do we feed our soil with fear, with resentment, with anger, with frustration at the people around us? Or do we use those experiences and those feelings as fertilizer to release what no longer serves us, to pour in clean water of clarity and love, and allowing the sunlight to shine, for our flowers to shine and grow? To me, that's what spiritual community is about, is coming together to support one another, to empower each other, to live happy, healthy, abundant lives. So I would love for us to know this together in prayer. And I'll say real quick about what prayer means for us. As I mentioned, the Centers for Spiritual Living, we use what's called a 5-step process. And what I love about it is it's not a mandate. It's not like, this is how prayer has to look. Your prayer doesn't work unless you use these 5 steps in order like this. It serves as a guide for so many people who are like, I've never really prayed before. I don't know how. It makes me uncomfortable. And when we first start taking classes in the Centers for Spiritual Living, it is, I'm just speaking for myself and having witnessed, new people, it is really uncomfortable. Be like, okay, I'm going to say something out loud. I'm going to trust that what feels right on my heart, I'm going to say out loud. And so this 5-step process is it serves as a way to like paint the numbers of prayer, if you will, to make it easy. And it's up to you to use them as much as little as you like. So the 5 steps are, step number 1 is recognizing that God is all there is. And I like to use the word energy as a synonym for God. When you think of the fact, the truth, the scientific, physical truth, that energy is literally all that there is. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created. It is only transferred. So because God or energy is literally all that there is, then we must be that too. Of course we are energy. Of course everything is energy. Step 3 is the affirmation, whatever it is that we are affirming together in prayer. Step 4 is gratitude. And then 5 is release. Surrendering, letting Spirit do what it does. Do the good work. So I invite you to join me in prayer by taking a moment to get comfortable in your seat. If you're the kind of person who likes to close your eyes in prayer, feel free to do that. If you're not, feel free to keep them open. And I invite you to bring your conscious attention and awareness to the breath. Noticing that the breath itself is sacred, that as energy itself cannot be created or destroyed, we didn't create our bodies. No part of us were like, I'm gonna be alive right now. And I'm gonna design my arms and my legs. Nah. Some part of our consciousness somewhere in some moment in time said, yes, this moment, this place, Oklahoma City or wherever we are online, we were called into being by divine appointment. And we were called to this space, to this message of living in color by divine appointment. And I am so grateful to trust and know that everything that is being said from this experience of being spiritually uncuffed is absolutely perfect, that each one of us is receiving the right and perfect inspiration and wisdom that we need to tend to the flowers of our own mind, to empower us to care for the gardens of our own soul. So I'm so grateful for us having heard our intuition guide us to this moment here and now. I'm grateful for the shift that takes place in Oklahoma City and beyond as a result of this experience here. And in gratitude, I release this word, knowing Spirit does whatever further action is needed. And in gratitude, I invite us to affirm this prayer with whatever word or phrase resonates most for you. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, so action chorus.
That's it.
We got you a tender heart bear for this one because
I have my
you seem more
tender
appropriate for
necklace
this.
on. Meant to be.
Y'all are so good.
So good.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Warms my whole heart. All right, so right after this is our potluck, and as you see, I say please eat. If you don't need to run out and you didn't bring anything, like I made a lot of vegan, gluten-free, garlic-free chili. So like dietary restrictions covered. There is salt in it. But like, we got some fruit, like there are options. Don't feel like, oh, I just showed up here for the first time and I ate them out of potluck at home. Like,
Yeah.
no, we are not trying to bring this food back with us. So please
Right.
join us for the potluck afterwards if you have time. And I don't know why that's there. What about you? Do I have a bunch of empty slides? Like I did do the, oh, you know what? Yeah, I did do that. So I was like, what am I doing? I had, as y'all know, I had a thing going on. So let's just, I was like, okay. I will say, if you're interested in knowing what we have going on, because we have some cool stuff. Armand and Angelina are doing a whole big week situation. On Wednesday, June 18th, they are teaching a native flute class in here. On Saturday evening, they're doing a musical comedy situation. And Sunday, they're doing their whole spiritually uncuffed thing. So like, and all of that stuff is on our website. I'll also tease real quick. I will do a better job. Y'all know I had a lot going on this weekend. My mom and I are leading a book study on this book called Original Sins. And it's by Eve Ewing, and it's about how the American education system was intentionally designed by our forefathers to socialize Black children into being second-class citizens, Native children to be erased, and white children to remain complicit in all of it. So a lot of the experience, it was a big eye-opener to be like, oh. And when you think about these decisions that were made in like the 1700s that are still in place in our school systems today, for me, it was really helpful to really unlearn and unpack and operate from a place of inclusivity, understanding that the first 15, I was going to say 18 years of my life, but yeah, for sure, like the first 18 years of my life were submerged in the school system that was designed for this. And my mom is a pretty much lifelong educator and also a member of the school board in her community. So we'll be doing that book study together, and that information may be on the website already. We'll see what happens. But information about all things is on unitedlife.org. And
Let's do one more time.
yes, this is my favorite. Like I try to have this song be like the last song that we did on there's no try. We did it on New Year's Eve, and we did not do it nearly as much justice as I'm confident they're about to do.
Please feel free to sing along if you know it.
Oh, I'm gonna.
525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? Everybody now. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strife. In 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measure in love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 journeys to plan. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man? In truths that she learned, or in times that she cried, in bridges he learned, or the way that she died. It's time now to sing out, so the story never ends. Let's celebrate, remember, and live in the life of friends. Remember love, love. Remember love, love. Remember love, love. Treasure in love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love.
525,600 minutes.
Seasons of 'Seasons of love. How about love? Remember love, love. Remember love, love. Measure in love.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I know not everyone can stay for the potluck, but if you can stay, definitely hang out. Have a great time.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone's welcome to join us. Even if you don't know how to sing, we'll teach you.
Cause I'm in. Cause I'm in.
All right, y'all, have the best week ever.
Uh,
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And